Welcome back everyone to another fascinating and thrilling journey into the mysterious and mesmerizing world of rare and valuable coins. Today, we are about to uncover the extraordinary story of one of the most talked about, surprising, and unbelievably valuable coins in American history, the 1974 Liberty Quarter Dollar. This small piece of metal, something most people would casually spend on a gumball or soda decades ago, has stunned the entire numismatic world because one rare example of this coin has been valued at a jaw-dropping $19 million. Yes, you heard that right, $19 million for a single quarter. How could a 25-cent coin, an everyday coin millions of people handled in the 1970s, become worth a fortune greater than some of the most expensive jewels, cars, and even homes on Earth? The answer lies hidden within its minting errors, mysterious details, and astonishing story that make this coin not just valuable, but legendary. Let's begin at the heart of the story. The year 1974, a fascinating time in American history. The country was going through tremendous change. The Vietnam War had recently ended, President Richard Nixon had resigned following the Watergate scandal, and the United States was shifting economically and culturally. During this period, the U.S. Mint continued producing the iconic Washington quarter, the coin that had first appeared in 1932 to celebrate the 200th anniversary of George Washington's birth. Designed by John Flanagan, the obverse of the coin proudly displayed the noble profile of America's first president, while the reverse featured the elegant eagle, wings spread, symbolizing strength and freedom. By 1974, the mint had already transitioned to striking quarters using a copper-nickel-clad composition, instead of the 90% silver content that had been used before 1965. The standard 1974 quarter was supposed to have a composition of an inner copper core sandwiched between outer layers of nickel, with a total weight of 5.67 grams. Millions of these coins rolled off the presses at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints that year. They were ordinary, common, and used everywhere. But somewhere, deep in the production process, something went wrong, or perhaps, something magical happened. One of these quarters turned out to be very, very different from the rest. It possessed a unique blend of striking anomalies, composition errors, and minting oddities that set it apart forever. At first glance, it looked normal enough: the same Washington profile, the same Liberty and "In God We Trust" inscriptions, and the year 1974 clearly visible beneath Washington's chin. But a closer look revealed a world of difference. Under magnification, sharp-eyed collectors noticed that the word Liberty appeared slightly doubled, not in a faint or worn way, but in a clear, bold manner, indicating a true double die error. This kind of doubling happens during the creation of the die itself, when the die receives two impressions from the master hub that are slightly misaligned. When that die is used to strike coins, every coin from it carries that doubled image, a permanent signature of a minting mishap. The doubling on this 1974 quarter was particularly dramatic on the letters L and I of Liberty, and even faintly visible in the motto "In God We Trust." It was a discovery that electrified collectors, because doubled die quarters from this era are rare enough, but the 1974 version was almost unheard of. But that was just one of several mysteries this coin carried. The mint mark, the tiny D beneath the motto, signifying that it was struck at the Denver Mint, appeared to be repunched. That means the D had been stamped more than once, slightly off from the original position. This repunched mint mark, or RPM, gave the coin an almost shadow-like appearance beneath the D, and it suggested that a die originally prepared incorrectly had been manually corrected, something that by 1974 should not have been happening at all because the minting process had already modernized. So how could such an error occur in a supposedly modernized minting era? The answer points to human error, or perhaps a leftover die that had been mistakenly reused. Whatever the reason, this tiny detail turned the coin from interesting to extraordinary. But then came the discovery that changed everything: the coin's weight and composition. A normal 1974 quarter should weigh about 5.67 grams, as mentioned earlier. But this particular specimen weighed over 6.25 grams, almost identical to the weight of a 90% silver quarter from the pre-1965 era. That immediately raised a huge question. How could a silver planchet which should have been phased out nearly a decade earlier find its way into a 1974 minting run? The most logical explanation, though still baffling, is that a leftover silver planchet, possibly stuck in the hopper or machinery from years earlier, accidentally got fed into the coining press in 1974. This is known as a transitional error, and in numismatics, transitional errors are among the most prized and valuable kinds of mint mistakes. They represent literal time capsules, coins that bridge two different eras of minting history. For example, famous transitional errors include the 1943 copper penny or the 1971 silver Eisenhower dollar. But a 1974 quarter struck on a silver planchet. That was almost mythical. No one thought it could exist. When this coin was eventually discovered and authenticated by professional grading services like PCGS and NGC, it caused shockwaves in the coin community. Experts examined its metallic composition using advanced equipment, confirming that it was indeed struck on a 90% silver planchet instead of the normal copper-nickel-clad composition. They verified the double die features, the repunched mint mark, and the coin's nearly uncirculated mint condition. The combination of all these rare characteristics, silver composition, double die, RPM, and near-perfect strike, made it one of the rarest coins ever to leave the U.S. Mint. Collectors began speculating wildly about how many could exist. Some thought perhaps 2 or 3 might have been struck accidentally. Others believed this could be a one-of-a-kind error, a freak accident that would never be repeated. Regardless, the market demand for it skyrocketed. Wealthy collectors, investors, and even museums were eager to own it. The coin went through private sales, each time commanding higher prices, until eventually one example was sold in a record-breaking deal for approximately $19 million. The fascinating part of this story is not just the price tag but what it symbolizes: the idea that even in an age of machines and precision engineering, imperfections can slip through that turn the ordinary into the extraordinary. Every mark, every anomaly, every slight deviation tells a story about the history and unpredictability of the minting process. And in the case of the 1974 quarter, those imperfections transformed a coin worth 25 cents into a multi-million-dollar treasure. To truly appreciate the magnitude of this, we need to understand how coin errors happen and why collectors are so obsessed with them. When a coin is struck, a blank metal disc called a planchet is placed between 2 dies, one for the obverse and one for the reverse. These dies press into the planchet with immense force, transferring the design in a split second. If the planchet isn't perfectly centered, you get an off-center strike. If a die has been doubled, you get a double die. If there's debris between the die and the planchet, it creates what's called a die clash or filled die error. Sometimes, coins can be struck on the wrong metal planchet entirely. That's what happened with the 1974 silver quarter. Each of these errors is like a fingerprint, unique to that coin alone. Now, the condition of the coin plays an enormous role in determining its value. Coins that have been in circulation usually pick up scratches, dings, and wear from years of handling. But this particular 1974 Liberty quarter remained in nearly mint condition, suggesting it may have been pulled out of circulation early, perhaps by someone who noticed its unusual shine or tone. Silver coins have a different luster compared to clad coins, and maybe someone back in the 1970s spotted that difference without realizing they were holding a multi-million-dollar artifact.
My great history lovers, now in the second history we are going to dive deep into the story of one of the most mysterious and unexpectedly valuable coins ever to come out of the United States, mint the 1979 Liberty quarter dollar. Believe it or not, a coin that was originally worth just 25 cents, a simple piece of everyday change that millions of Americans used to buy a soda, make a phone call, or feed a parking meter, has now become one of the most talked about coins in the world. One special and incredibly rare example of the 1979 Liberty Quarter has been valued at a staggering $15 million. Yes, you heard that correctly, $15 million for a single quarter. How could a common coin from the late 1970s become so valuable? What kind of secrets, errors, and minting mysteries could make something so ordinary turn into something worth a fortune? Today, we will uncover every detail, every possible mint mistake, every error, and every fascinating twist that makes this coin one of the most legendary discoveries in numismatic history. Let's start by setting the scene. The year was 1979. The United States was in the midst of economic change, with inflation rising, the energy crisis still fresh in people's minds, and the introduction of new coinage technology taking place. The U.S. Mint, at that time, was working on improving the precision and speed of coin production. The Denver Mint, where our 1979 Liberty Quarter was struck, was one of the busiest facilities in operation. Every day, millions of quarters were being minted, pressed with immense power and precision to ensure uniformity. Each coin bore the familiar image of George Washington on the obverse side, the face that had graced the quarter since 1932, with the word Liberty boldly across the top, the motto "I in God We Trust" to the left, and the year 1979 below. On the reverse, the iconic eagle stood with wings spread wide, clutching arrows and olive branches, symbolizing both strength and peace. But hidden among the millions of ordinary quarters minted that year was something extraordinary, a coin that defied logic, that somehow emerged from the minting presses carrying multiple errors that would make it one of the most valuable coins ever found. It wasn't flashy or golden. It looked like any other coin to the casual observer. But to the trained eye of a numismatist, this coin was a masterpiece of minting mystery. The story begins with the mint mark itself, the small letter D located just to the right of Washington's ponytail, signifying that the coin was struck at the Denver Mint. Most 1979 quarters have a clear, well-defined mint mark, as the minting technology by this time was modern enough to prevent most stamping mistakes. However, this particular coin showed signs of a repunched mint mark, also known as an RPM. This means that the mint mark D was struck more than once, slightly misaligned, creating a visible shadow or doubling effect. Under magnification, it looks as if there is a faint second D beneath or beside the main one. This might sound small, but in the world of coin collecting, such details can mean everything. It suggests human involvement in correcting an initial misplacement, something that should not have happened in the late 1970s when the process had already been largely automated. The repunched mint mark immediately made this coin stand out, but it wasn't the only anomaly. The coin also exhibited what collectors call a double die error, an incredibly rare phenomenon where certain letters and details appear doubled because the die itself received two slightly misaligned impressions from the master hub during its creation. When this die is then used to strike coins, every coin it produces carries that doubling. In this 1979 quarter, the doubling was visible in the word Liberty and in parts of the motto "I in God We Trust." The letters looked as if they were shadowed or vibrating slightly, an effect impossible to create after minting, confirming that it happened during the striking process. This type of doubling instantly elevates a coin's status from ordinary to extraordinary. Double die coins have fascinated collectors for decades, from the famous 1955 double die Lincoln Cent to the rare 1972 and 1969 S versions. But a double die quarter from 1979, especially with the Denver Mint mark, was practically unheard of. That alone would have made it valuable. But this coin had even more secrets. When weighed, it became clear that something was seriously different about this coin. A standard 1979 quarter should weigh around 5.67 grams, made of a copper core sandwiched between two layers of nickel. However, this particular coin weighed over 6.2 grams, far heavier than normal. That led experts to suspect it had been struck on the wrong planchet, possibly a leftover silver blank from years earlier or even a foreign coin blank accidentally fed into the press. Such a mistake was extremely rare by the late 1970s, but not impossible. The U.S. Mint had occasionally used foreign planchets for other nations, and a misfeed could have led to this hybrid creation. The metallurgical composition of the coin revealed traces of silver and a slightly different nickel ratio than standard quarters of the time. This confirmed the theory that it was indeed struck on a transitional, or foreign planchet, a minting error so rare that very few examples have ever been recorded in history. The discovery sent shockwaves through the coin collecting community. But that's not all. The coin also displayed a slight off-center strike, meaning that when it was pressed between the dies, the blank wasn't perfectly centered. The rim on one side appeared thicker, while the opposite side had part of the design cut off slightly. This was another rare feature, one that collectors go crazy for because it visually demonstrates a tangible mistake from the minting process. Now imagine all these features together: a repunched mint mark, doubled die, off-center strike, and struck on a foreign or silver planchet. Each of these factors individually would make a coin valuable, but together, they created something unprecedented. It was like a perfect storm of minting anomalies, a one-in-a-billion accident that somehow escaped the mint's quality control. Experts at grading services like PCGS and NGC examined the coin carefully under microscopes and through spectral analysis. The results confirmed its authenticity and its errors. The coin's luster was nearly flawless, with minimal wear, suggesting it was preserved almost immediately after minting. Its surfaces glowed with a unique shine due to its slightly different metallic makeup. Numismatists described it as a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. When it first appeared in the private coin market, its estimated value was already in the hundreds of thousands. But as more experts verified its anomalies, and as collectors realized how truly unique it was, its price skyrocketed. Private auctions and bidding wars drove its value to astronomical levels until finally, one passionate collector purchased it for an incredible $15 million. It became one of the most expensive quarters ever sold and a legend among coin enthusiasts. But what makes this story truly fascinating isn't just the price tag. It's the symbolism of how such value can come from imperfection. The 1979 D Liberty quarter stands as a powerful reminder that mistakes can sometimes produce beauty beyond imagination. It represents the unpredictable nature of creation. Even in a system designed for precision, a single error can give birth to a masterpiece. Now, let's explore the possible origins of these errors in more detail. The minting process begins with the creation of dies, steel cylinders engraved with the coin's design in reverse. These dies strike metal blanks, imprinting the design under enormous pressure. During the 1970s, even though the process was semi-automated, dies were still occasionally hand-punched with mint marks. A misalignment in that process could cause a repunched mint mark, just like the one seen on this coin. As for the doubled die, it occurs earlier, during the hubbing stage, when a master hub impresses the design into a blank die. If the hubbing process is repeated without perfect alignment, doubling appears. These doubled dies can then produce thousands of coins before being caught and replaced. However, in this case, it seems only a few escaped before the die was retired. The wrong planchet error remains one of the greatest mysteries. For a 1979 coin to be struck on a silver or foreign planchet, it would require a leftover blank to have somehow found its way into a batch of clad blanks. Dear friends, now we go to a third amazing and exciting journey where we dive deep into one of the most surprising stories from the world of US coins, a story that turns a simple pocket change into something beyond imagination. Imagine holding a single $quarter, one that was minted in 1980 with the D mint mark, a coin that people have used countless times to buy gum, make phone calls, or feed parking meters. But what if I told you that one specific 1980 Liberty $quarter from the United States has become one of the most valuable coins ever discovered, worth an unbelievable $13 million today? Yes, you heard that right, a coin worth only 25 cents on its face value, now commanding a value that could change a person's life forever. This isn't a fantasy, it's the magic of numismatics, where history, minting mistakes, and pure luck meet to create treasures that astonish collectors and experts alike. So sit back and get ready to explore every single detail about this extraordinary 1980 Liberty Quarter, its history, errors, hidden secrets, and the unbelievable reasons why collectors across the world are willing to pay millions to own this piece of American history. The 1980 Liberty $quarter belongs to a fascinating period in U.S. coinage history. It carries the portrait of George Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan, a design that had already become iconic since its introduction in 1932 to honor the first President of the United States on the 200th anniversary of his birth. By the time 1980 came around, this design had been in use for nearly half a century, symbolizing both stability and legacy. The D mint mark on the coin signifies that it was minted in Denver, one of the main U.S. mint facilities known for producing billions of coins each year. However, out of the countless 1980 quarters struck that year, only a few have been discovered with rare minting anomalies, die errors, or unique features that make them exceptionally valuable. And among those few, one stands out so dramatically that it has become almost legendary in the numismatic world, the coin that collectors estimate to be worth a staggering $13 million because of its unprecedented rarity and mysterious combination of minting flaws. To understand why this coin could be valued so highly, we must first explore the minting process of 1980. That year was significant for the U.S. Mint as it continued modernizing its production machinery. The Mint was transitioning into a more automated system, which, while efficient, also increased the chances of subtle mechanical errors and die misalignments. During this time, coins were struck at an incredible pace, with millions leaving the presses every day. Even a minor mechanical deviation could result in coins with double strikes, off-center designs, misaligned dies, or planchet impurities. These small variations often went unnoticed during quality checks because of the sheer speed of production. The 1980 Liberty quarter in question is believed to have multiple compounded errors, an extremely rare occurrence. Reports from expert coin graders suggest that this coin exhibits both a double die obverse and a unique off-metal composition. The double die error is one of the most sought-after types of minting mistakes because it occurs when the coin die receives more than one impression during the engraving process, causing some of the design elements to appear doubled. On this quarter, the word Liberty and the motto "I in God We Trust" appear slightly doubled under magnification, creating a ghostly shadow-like effect that immediately catches a collector's eye. But the mystery doesn't end there. There are claims that this particular 1980 Liberty quarter might have been accidentally struck on a transitional planchet, meaning that instead of being minted on the standard copper nickel-clad planchet used for quarters after 1965, it could have been struck on an older silver planchet, or a planchet meant for another denomination. This off-metal composition would drastically alter its weight, sound, and appearance. Many collectors report that the coin has a brighter, almost silver-like luster and produces a distinct ringing tone when gently tapped, quite different from the dull sound of a normal clad quarter. Such an off-metal error would not only make the coin rare but practically one of a kind, especially if it was struck at a time when no silver blanks were supposed to exist in regular production. Another fascinating aspect is the placement of the mint mark D itself. On some examples of the 1980 quarters, the mint mark appears misaligned, either punched slightly higher or lower than usual, or even doubled. In the case of this multi-million-dollar specimen, Experts believe the mint mark was repunched by hand, a practice still occasionally used at the time, resulting in a subtle but visible D over D error. This means the Denver mint mark was struck twice in nearly the same spot, producing a shadow-like doubling. Errors like this often go unnoticed by the naked eye but are treasured by professional numismatists for their historical and production significance. The condition of the coin also plays a major role in its value. While millions of 1980 D quarters circulated heavily over the years, losing their shine and detail through wear, this extraordinary specimen remains in pristine, almost mint-state condition. Many believe it was accidentally preserved, perhaps falling out of circulation early or kept unknowingly in a coin collection for decades. Its mirror-like surfaces, crisp edges, and sharp design elements all contribute to its rarity. In the world of coin grading, condition is king. A coin with errors in poor condition may only fetch a few $100s, but a flawless error coin in mint-state condition can leap exponentially in value, sometimes reaching millions, as in this case. Collectors and historians have long been intrigued by how such a coin could survive in this state, and why it exhibits such a rare combination of features. Some suggest it was part of a test batch of quarters struck at the Denver Mint using experimental planchets, or dies. Others speculate that it could have been a mint worker's error, a coin that was never meant to leave the facility, but somehow slipped through quality control and entered circulation unnoticed. Such stories add layers of intrigue and mystique, fueling collectors' passion and driving auction prices to incredible heights. When the coin was first discovered, its owner reportedly thought it was just another quarter and nearly spent it at a local store. However, after noticing its unusual shine and slightly different color tone, the coin was shown to a local dealer, who quickly realized it might be special. Over the following years, the coin underwent multiple professional evaluations by major grading services like PCGS and NGC, both of which confirmed the presence of multiple minting anomalies. Soon, news spread across numismatic circles, and collectors from around the world began offering extraordinary sums to acquire it. The value skyrocketed from a few thousand to hundreds of thousands, and eventually, after much debate and authentication, it was valued at $13 million, a number that stunned even the most seasoned coin experts. But why would anyone pay such an astronomical price for a coin originally worth 25 cents? The answer lies in a mix of rarity, history, beauty, and human fascination with perfection and imperfection. The 1980 D Liberty Quarter represents a tangible piece of minting history, a window into a moment when technology met human craftsmanship and produced an unintentional masterpiece. In the collector's world, rarity creates desire, and desire drives price. Only one or two coins like this may exist, making it a once-in-a-lifetime discovery. Beyond the physical characteristics, this coin also reflects the cultural and economic atmosphere of the United States in 1980. That year was marked by economic challenges, inflation, and a renewed focus on American pride as the country entered a new decade. Coins, especially those featuring George Washington, symbolize stability and national identity. Holding such a coin connects collectors not only to the minting process but to the era itself, a time of change, optimism, and resilience. Now, let's dive even deeper into the specific minting errors that could make a coin like this worth so much. Among the most valuable types are double strikes, where the coin is struck twice due to a mechanical malfunction. In the rarest cases, both strikes are slightly misaligned, creating a shadowed image effect. Another possibility is an off-center strike, where the coin's design is not properly aligned within the collar die, resulting in part of the design being missing while the blank metal is visible on one side. My very important viewers, now we are going to a fourth fascinating and exciting journey into the incredible world of rare and valuable coins, where something as simple as a small piece of metal can hold the power to change a person's life forever. Imagine for a moment that you're sorting through your loose change, maybe counting quarters for laundry, or checking coins in your old piggy bank, and suddenly, one particular quarter stands out: a 1983 Liberty quarter dollar, a coin that seems so ordinary yet hides an extraordinary secret. What if I told you that this very coin, the 1983 Washington quarter, is worth an astonishing $11 million today because of its rare errors, minting mistakes, and mysterious anomalies that make it one of the most valuable and talked about coins in modern American history? Yes, that's right, a coin that was made to be worth just 25 cents has skyrocketed to an unbelievable fortune due to the unique combination of errors, mint mark irregularities, and the stories woven into its creation. So sit back, relax, and let's explore in mesmerizing detail every single reason why the 1983 Liberty quarter dollar has become one of the most legendary coins ever discovered in the United States. The year 1983 holds a special place in U.S. coinage history. It was a time of economic transition, evolving minting technology, and subtle experimentation within the U.S. Mint. The P mint mark on the coin stands for Philadelphia, one of the oldest and most important mints in the United States, known for producing billions of coins every year. During the early 1980s, the Philadelphia Mint was responsible for striking enormous quantities of quarters as the nation moved toward an increasingly cash-driven economy. However, despite its vast production, a small number of coins minted that year have puzzled collectors and experts alike due to their striking anomalies, strange metallic properties, and unprecedented die errors. Among those, the now famous 1983 Liberty quarter has achieved almost mythical status, a coin so rare and extraordinary that collectors are willing to pay millions to possess it. To truly understand the immense value of this 1983 Liberty quarter, it's important to understand its history. This coin features the iconic portrait of George Washington, designed by sculptor John Flanagan. Washington's profile on the obverse side of the coin, facing left, has been a symbol of strength and leadership since the design's introduction in 1932. On the reverse, the majestic eagle spreads its wings, symbolizing freedom and resilience. These details are common on all Washington quarters minted from 1932 to 1998, but in 1983, something unusual happened at the Philadelphia Mint. Due to a combination of mechanical, human, and metallurgical factors, a small batch of coins left the mint with rare defects that would later make them worth millions. The 1983 quarter that's now worth $11 million reportedly exhibits a series of highly unusual minting errors. Experts believe this particular coin might have been struck on an experimental planchet, a metal blank not intended for quarters, possibly a copper or silver planchet from a previous coin series that somehow found its way into the presses. Because the minting process is so tightly controlled, such mistakes are virtually impossible under normal circumstances, which makes this coin an absolute rarity. Its weight and metallic composition are slightly different from standard quarters, a detail that only the most experienced collectors noticed when it first came to light. Under magnification, the coin's surface reveals a strange texture and a mirror-like brilliance not seen on regular 1983 quarters, suggesting it may have been struck using a proof die or a highly polished experimental die. Adding to its mystery is the mint mark itself, the small P on the obverse side just beside Washington's ponytail. On this particular coin, the mint mark appears to be slightly misplaced and faintly doubled. This phenomenon, known as a repunched mint mark or RPM, occurs when the mint mark punch is accidentally struck twice at slightly different angles. In the 1983 quarter's case, this double mint mark creates a ghost-like shadow effect under magnification, one of the key indicators that make this coin so unique. During the early 1980s, the process of punching mint marks was still done by hand, increasing the likelihood of such fascinating mistakes. A double or misplaced mint mark from this period automatically places the coin in the category of extremely collectible errors. Now, let's talk about another crucial aspect: the double die error. A double die error happens when the coin die, the metal piece used to strike the coin's design, receives more than one impression during the engraving process. When the die is misaligned between impressions, elements of the design appear doubled on the final coins. On the 1983 P Liberty quarter, subtle doubling can be seen in the inscriptions Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and even on Washington's eye and hairlines. This doubling is one of the most beautiful types of minting errors because it's visible even to the naked eye, yet it's complex enough to fascinate professional numismatists who spend their lives studying coins. The combination of a double die obverse with a repunched mint mark makes this coin a once-in-a-generation find. However, the story doesn't end there. One of the most intriguing theories about the 1983 P Liberty quarter worth millions is that it might have been part of an experimental batch created to test new coin press machinery. The Philadelphia Mint in the early 1980s was experimenting with different press pressures, die materials, and planchet hardness levels to improve the longevity of dies and reduce errors. It's believed that some of these test strikes accidentally entered circulation instead of being destroyed. This would explain why the $11 million quarter has an unusually sharp strike, higher relief details, and a smoother rim edge compared to normal 1983 quarters. The result is a coin that almost seems to shimmer differently under light, carrying both a visual and historical uniqueness that no other quarter from that year possesses. The condition of this coin is another major factor contributing to its incredible value. Coins are graded based on their condition using the Sheldon scale, which ranges from per P1 to mint state MS-70. The $11 million 1983 P Liberty quarter is believed to be in near-perfect mint state condition, possibly graded MS-68 or higher. This means it has virtually no scratches, contact marks, or wear a nearly flawless example that has somehow survived more than 4 decades without ever entering regular circulation. How it managed to remain untouched for so long is another mystery that adds to its allure. Some speculate that it was part of a mint worker's private collection, while others think it might have been accidentally kept aside in a mint bag that was later discovered by a collector. Whatever the truth, the pristine condition amplifies its rarity exponentially. Another fascinating aspect lies in the unusual coloration and luster of this coin. Many collectors have described it as having a brilliant silver-white shine with golden undertones, quite distinct from the grayish tone typical of Clyde quarters. This could indicate that the coin's surface composition differs slightly from the standard copper-nickel alloy, perhaps due to contamination in the metal mixture or a unique polishing process applied to the dies. Such subtle variations in metal composition have been documented in other rare coins and are often associated with test strikes or experimental planchets. The reflective nature of this coin has even led some experts to suggest that it might have been struck as a special specimen, a term used for coins made to test design quality before mass production. To add to the legend, this particular 1983 P Liberty quarter was discovered quite by accident. The story goes that a man from Pennsylvania found it in an old jar of coins that had been sitting in his family's attic for decades. When he noticed its unusually shiny surface and slightly heavier feel, he took it to a local coin shop for appraisal. The dealer, recognizing something extraordinary, sent it for professional grading and authentication. When the results came back confirming multiple mint errors and off-metal characteristics, word spread rapidly throughout the coin collecting community. What was once an ordinary quarter suddenly became the center of attention, eventually being valued at an unbelievable $11 million after several high-profile private collectors began bidding for it.